And welcome back to the Shoot For It podcast. I'm back as your host, JK. And we also got your co-host, GK. And then our producer in the back, NK. We just finished up our game segment with the showdown, the blind movie showdown, as y'all know. Now we're going to move on a little bit more to the serious business side, because you know how serious we get about MMA. We want to talk about the recap. We want to review the 311 main card with y'all. Starting off with the DeRitter Kevin Holland. But Gabe, before any of that nitty-gritty stuff,
absolutely amazing card. This was in the brand new LA Clippers arena, the Intuit Dome, and it was phenomenal. Especially watching it on TV. Typically, you're not as interested in the arena itself. When they had the Noche Latina UFC 300,
the Sphere,
that was something I definitely remember the arena of. Outside of that, the UFC Apex and the T-Mobile Center and all that, they're not exciting like that, but the Intuit Dome, man, they put on a great show. Yeah. I love the visuals they had with
the visuals were cool.
Jumbotron, that was a full 360 degree view.
Yeah, that was really sick.
They have this really cool setup with fan interaction, where they have questions popping up on the Jumbotron, and there's 4 buttons, like Xbox or PlayStation, and then you have to pick one of them that is the correct answer for one of these trivia questions. Mm-hmm. And if you get a certain amount of points, you get a free hot dog or a free beer or a free T-shirt or something. So I think that's pretty cool. I like what they're doing.
More stadiums need to do that.
They do. I like what they're doing over in LA, and I hope that's something that becomes more widely adopted.
Hopefully that's a standard that they set.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it comes down to taxpayer money funding new stadiums and facilities and all that, and rich owners that are willing to spend more money to make a more interesting product. But that being said, UFC 311 was phenomenal. The Kevin Holland, Rene de Ritter from Netherlands, that was a really interesting fight. I didn't, Kevin Holland is from Texas.
Hey, bitch, I'm from Texas.
He trains in
Main Street Muay Thai, I believe, in Houston.
In Houston, and they call him the Mouth. He talks trash all the time. I'm not a huge fan of him, even though he's from Texas and he trains in Houston. I was hoping de Ritter would win this. Yeah. You want to break it down for us?
Sure, yeah. So Rene de Ritter, for those you don't know, was before the UFC, he was a 2-weight class champion in ONE FC, which is one of the main organizations outside of the UFC. I believe it was middleweight and welterweight, if I'm not mistaken, but they do it a little differently in ONE because of the hydration. Amazing grappling. I mean, as you can see, the dude's kind of known to get submissions off his back. If he gets on your back, he's like Aljamain Sterling middleweight.
Really? Okay.
Or Alexander Pantoja. The dude's an animal. Pretty much over it once he gets it. He's a rear naked choke specialist. I mean, that's what he got Kevin Holland with pretty much instantly.
Right.
I believe he beat what was his name? He fought Hamzat Chimaev, Gerald Mearshart.
Oh, okay.
That was the guy I think he beat in his debut. Now he beat Kevin Holland. I will say, with Kevin Holland, I think he needs to pick a weight class, and I think it needs to be welterweight. We saw recently with Joaquin Buckley, he switched from 185 to 170, and he's been an absolute tear.
Yeah, Buckley fits phenomenal going up, but Holland, did he go down?
He went down to welterweight.
Buckley
was at 85 or that.
Now he looks like the biggest guy.
He's jacked. Covington
in that weight class,
take him down.
Kevin Holland, though, like you're saying, I don't think it was a good idea for him moving up to middleweight because, he's a very wiry type of guy. He's very lanky and skinny. That's good for jiu-jitsu because you can use your skinnier arms to get up and under the chin and all that. But, middleweight's a different animal. Yeah. These guys, some of them are, up to,
15 pounds. 6'4". It's a 15-pound difference from... Because you guys got to remember, the higher weights you go, the more of a weight discrepancy there becomes.
Exactly. So, this was not a fight I was particularly interested in because I didn't know de Ritter very well, but I hoped he would win anyways because
I don't like Holland. Remember, Holland is a black belt jiu-jitsu guy. He beat Jacare Souza, also jiu-jitsu guy. I mean, I think he got it under Travis Lutter, very respected Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy. So the fact that de Ritter did get such an early submission on Holland is impressive. Mm-hmm. Definitely a name to keep an eye out on. Middleweight doesn't have that many good grapplers right now. Hamzat Chimaev
Khamzat.
and Dricus du Plessis come to mind, but it is a very striker dominant
It totally is.
division. That's another topic for another time, but I don't know if you've noticed, you get a lot more strikers the heavier you go.
Oh yeah.
So
Because like there's more power in the
Yeah.
strikes. It's like you have an easier ability to end the fight with
Exactly.
the strike. Like I mean,
and Derek Lewis can just get up, right? So I mean that shows you that
With Kimura, the way, oh, look at this. He's giving up his position. Oh, no. Wow. Sloppy. Very
So I mean that shows you that as you get higher weights, it's just the technical skill just gets harder and harder just because of your body mass.
right, and you know, if you're shorter, there tends to be more of people the same height
Yeah.
as you in the entire population. So
There
if
you
there's
go.
so many people that are like 5'5", for example, you got to be more skilled to outshine these guys than if you're 6'5", like Cyril Gane,
Yeah.
265 pounds, shredded, not
Yeah.
even an ounce of fat on that guy.
Yeah. He's like 245, 250.
Right, he's a heavy hitter striker. Doesn't have like any wrestling at all, essentially. And if you're playing that same exact style at middleweight, even like welterweight, lightweight,
Yeah.
man, you wouldn't survive.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I think moving on, now that we've been talking about the heavier weights, though, we got Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Spivak.
This is one we were very, very excited about. We both had
man.
Spivak winning. If y'all checked
He
out,
looks good. He
Yeah,
looks
I mean-
good, man.
if y'all checked out our predictions video,
previous
we're big Spivak fans. The polar bear himself, but Jailton Almeida, he really impressed me on the stand up. He rocked him good, almost knocked him out, and then what was it? Was it a TKO?
It was a TKO. I mean, there's a few seconds left. I just wish Spivak could have held on just for a few more seconds because it was a really fun round. I feel like if Spivak had a little time to recover and, like something could have happened. I mean, Almeida took that round. But in the very beginning, Spivak landed a couple takedowns himself.
Yeah, I mean, it was 36 strikes to 34 total strikes. It wasn't really a striking match, but the striking did end the fight, which is kind of interesting. Neither one of these guys known for their ability to light people up on the feet. But, the jiu-jitsu kind of style of Almeida, the way he swept under his leg and took Spivak down just before he ended the fight, that was very impressive. That showed that, he's worked on that a ton.
Yeah. And the way he was able to reverse Spivak off of him, because we know Spivak's top game is nasty.
Right.
It's elite. And he was even getting that polar bear ground and pound. I don't know if you saw
The
that
signature.
on that.
The
The signature, the poundage, but pause. But Almeida reversed it pretty easily, honestly.
He did.
And he's
He
very
impressed me.
impressive. I mean, I think he called out Cyril Gane, I believe, in his post-fight interview.
Ooh.
I think that's a good fight. Cyril definitely needs another one after that Volkov fight.
Right.
And I'd like to see him against a grappler.
Yeah, I mean, like we just said, I don't know if Cyril Gane is not a good grappler at all.
He got out-grappled by Volkov, dude.
Right. I mean, Volkov's a big, strong guy, lanky. He's got the reach advantage, but,
He's a striker.
striker. He's just, at the end of the day, he's a kickboxer.
Yeah.
So,
I thought
Almeida-
Volkov won. Just on record. I thought Volkov beat Cyril Gane in that fight.
I mean, I think you're probably right. I mean,
was
I
close.
wanted Cyril Gane to win. He's my second
Yeah.
favorite fighter behind the great Poatan himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, this one it was exciting, but it was quick.
Yeah.
Like
Good fight.
I hope there was a little bit more out of this. Going into it, I was like,
Yeah.
I hope this is like a 2-3 round fight.
Like a grind.
Right,
Like a grind.
yeah.
I was looking forward to watching the heavyweights grapple, man. You don't
Yeah,
get
me
to see
too.
that often.
You don't see it often,
And it's
especially
two
without
different
DC
kinds.
in the UFC
Yeah,
anymore.
and two different styles of grappling, which is interesting.
Right.
I believe Spivak's more of like a judo character. Likes to do the trips and the flips and get on top and pound you
Right.
out. And Almeida is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu dude. Anyway,
Two different styles.
moving
Great fight.
onwards.
That was also a performance of the night for
Mhm.
Almeida. They split with this other fight that we were very interested.
Oh, this is my
in.
favorite one of the night, guys.
Yuri Prohaska versus Jamahan Hill.
Jamal.
Let's go for that. Let's go for that. Oh.
Let's go for that.
Bad prediction by me. Jamal lost. I predicted Jamal. I believe you predicted Yuri, actually.
I picked Yuri for this
It
one.
was close. I mean, it was to me at the time it was a toss up. And honestly, in the fight, I feel like the biggest difference was how much Yuri improved. If that was the Yuri of old that we saw against Glover, I think Jamal actually would have pieced him up.
Right.
Like, Yuri was super dynamic. very much improved. A lot of improvement on his head movement. I don't know if you noticed slipping and dipping.
I didn't see much of that.
Lots of angle changes.
I didn't see much of the head movement and the footwork going in and out, really, pacing and spacing as much up until this fight. He mentioned in the post-fight interview that he had worked a lot on keeping his hands up.
Mm-hmm.
I
didn't see that.
I didn't see that. But I saw the head movement was great.
Yeah.
And, he picked his spots really well. He had a pretty bad shoulder injury.
Right.
Training for this fight, that's part of why he had a 6-month break between his last fight and this one.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's always had shoulder problems.
Yeah. I don't know what the exact reason for that is. Maybe it's his alternative styles of training that we've highlighted in the show.
I don't know if you knew about this, but I might try to refresh your memory.
Okay.
He had a small injury in his shoulder, and like one of his teammates tried to like reset, like, because I think it's dislocated, and like just shredded it up.
Eesh.
And Dana White like went on record and was like, the doctor said it was like the worst like he'd ever seen.
Oh my god!
So like his whole shoulder was just like
even more than like Kimura, twisting his shoulder
bad because they were trying to put it back in its socket, and like it made it worse.
Oh man!
And like
I didn't know that.
Dana was like, next time UFC fighters don't do this, go to the doctor. We're gonna pay for it. Go to the doctor.
Yeah, I mean they have the Player Institute for a reason. He's probably fighting somewhere in like the Czech Republic or in a remote undisclosed location.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I'm coming!
Yeah. But I believe it was in the U.S. when it happened, the injury. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So no excuses, Yuri. I love Yuri though. I love Yuri.
Big
love
fan
his style.
of the guy.
Another thing he was doing well was angle changes. I don't know if you noticed, like he would like dip under, and like they would almost like cross paths.
Right.
And then like Yuri would sneak one in, like I loved all that stuff from Yuri.
And it's not like this wasn't a close fight. Like Jamal had, he got a couple of his licks in.
Yeah,
he knocked them pretty good. They both
second round, especially from what I remember.
Yeah, they both took a lot of damage to the face. It was 101 strikes Yuri's way to 84 total. Significant strikes 97 Yuri to 81 on Jamal's side, and then two knockdowns. This fight did not go to the ground at all. They really just treated like men.
Yeah,
and they got to the bottom of it.
Here's the thing, you guys.
Was it an official KO?
I believe it was a KO. It was a KO. I believe. Right? Does it say?
It says victory by punches.
It says KO/TKO.
I think it was a TKO technically.
Yeah.
But because they didn't really do much ground and pound.
Right.
But a very impressive fight, very exciting. I was super hyped for this. It did not disappoint.
What do you think is next for these guys? For me, it was Jamal Hill versus Roundtree. What do you think about that?
I mean, I would love to see Roundtree against either of these guys. Honestly, Yuri versus Roundtree would be fun. I mean,
Yuri,
either way.
Yuri versus Roundtree would be a lot of fun too. I also see Yuri versus the winner of, I believe, Carlos Ulberg and Jan Blachowicz will be fighting in a month.
Okay.
Very interesting fight there.
Yeah.
Ulberg versus Jan. I think that whoever wins that should fight Yuri Prohaska.
I heard. So was it UFC 313, 312 that they announced the Alex Pereira versus Ankalaev? I think that's going to be the toughest matchup for Alex yet in terms of skill matchups. But Alex supposedly said that he wants to fight Yuri after he beats Ankalaev. If that's the case.
I'm okay with that. Who else? I mean, Yuri's only lost to Alex, right? If Yuri can beat Jamal Hill and then one or two other guys, let's say he beats Jan or Carlos Ulberg, and then whoever wins against, let's say, Roundtree, Jamal Hill, whatever, right? Let's say he wins one or two more. I don't see why not he fights Alex, because he deserves it. Who else is there?
I mean, the paycheck is worth it enough. I mean, the only reason is, like you were saying in our last video, you described Yuri as he always initiates the car crash. I never heard that term. And then I was thinking about that when I was watching the fights. I'm like, you're definitely right. He definitely goes headstrong into the opponent. Downhill style is I call it like the Predator.
Yeah.
Coming
offense,
down.
Offense.
This fight he showed a little head movement, so he played a little defense at least. But it wasn't with the hands,
Jamal has great hands. People forget that
he
dude
does.
is a tremendous boxer, and the fact that he couldn't get Yuri was very eye-opening to me because I thought Jamal was gonna get Yuri's chin.
And I also heard that Jamahal, he had to lose an abnormally large amount of weight going into this fight. He had to lose like 45 pounds.
That's right, because he was injured, so he couldn't even train and lose it all. That's right.
So he had to lose like a abnormal amount of weight, especially for a light heavyweight.
Yeah.
And with the injury he was coming off of, it was like he had an Achilles injury a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what his last one was. Do you remember?
I think it was his Achilles bothering him again. I think it's like a lingering thing. Yeah.
I mean, it didn't look like the leg was bothering him in the fight. He didn't look like he was tired or anything. He didn't look abnormal, but I'm sure that played a little bit of a factor.
They had pains. They had pains in their bodies. So I think with this, it is really just about the better man.
Right.
And I think Yuri won. And you know what? He is one of those guys where if he fights Alex, obviously Alex will be the favorite, but you can never count Yuri out.
Never count him out.
Especially that third time. And with Alex's style, he is still a new guy. He's a savant, obviously, Alex is.
Right.
But it is always going to be a fun challenge, I think.
He always has a puncher's chance, Yuri. So we'll see if that matchup even happens. If Alex even beats Ankalaev, we'll have to see. I hope my boy wins. But yeah, man. Like you said, the better man won. And, he was more well-rested. So.
Yeah, I mean, it shows how, the light heavyweight division needs some more contenders.
Right.
All right, well, moving on, we got the two championship fights.
Another very interesting fight. The co-main, Merab Dvalishvili against Umar Nurmagomedov, fighting out of Dagestan. This was the first of it was supposed to be two fights of the Battle of the Caucasus. The Georgian versus the Dagestani Russian. This was a really interesting fight. Merab really impressed me.
Oh, yeah.
I know I've said that a lot with these fights on this card. This one was probably, I think, we said Yuri and Hill was the best fight. This one is arguably the best fight.
I agree. These are the two best for me.
It did win fight of the night. It wasn't, I like more of a strike fest. There was a good amount of striking. It was fun.
The thing about this fight that was the most interesting to me is that you saw a guy beat a Nurmagomedov at grappling.
Exactly.
He won with grappling against a Nurmagomedov.
And that was not expected at all. And also, Merab, he broke George St. Pierre's takedown all-time record in this fight. He didn't lose gas all 5 rounds. He was recovering.
Flapping gums.
Right. I mean, he was recovering from a serious staph infection after suffering a huge cut on his leg.
Yeah.
And we're not going to show you the pictures. If you want to look at that.
Not safe for work,
Yeah, Google it on your own time. But then Umar, supposedly, in the first round of this fight, he broke his hand. So, this was a fight where 2 of the fighters had, excuses. I don't know if they really consider them excuses because they both really showed up. They did pretty well.
Yeah,
I was very impressed with Umar's.
Hats off to Umar.
His kicking was very on point.
He is a contender for sure. I will also say with this fight, it really shows that if you have cardio, you can just become a champion on that alone. Because almost in every aspect, especially in the first rounds, Merab didn't look as good.
No.
His striking wasn't as good. Even he was getting taken down by Umar. He was getting offensively threat. He had offensive threats with the takedowns. To me, this really shows that Merab really might be the greatest, most dominant bantamweight that the UFC has ever seen. And I'm going to back this up with his resume. If you could pull this up for me, Gabe, I want you to pull up Merab's last 5 or 6 fights. And I just want to go through the names of these last 5 or 6 and see if you can compare literally anyone else. So, we have Umar Murnau.
It's MLK Day. It's MLK Day.
What did I do?
Umar Nurmagomedov. We got Sean O'Malley, Henry Cejudo, Peter Yan, Jose Aldo. I mean,
all legends of the sport.
That's crazy, right, y'all? I mean, that's a crazy 5-man lineup. Umar Nurmagomedov, Sean O'Malley, Henry Cejudo, Peter Yan, Jose Aldo, and Marlon. Marlon Moraes, y'all. Back when Umar fought him, was still in the top 5, top 6, if I'm not mistaken. He was a killer.
Right, yeah.
So The last 6 names.
John Dodson.
Yeah, the last 6. I mean, you go past those names, and my argument starts to get a little bit small.
Yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't matter. Bantamweight history. If you look at the last 5 names of any of these guys, Sean O'Malley especially,
right.
You don't see a better 5.
I mean, Sean O'Malley's probably the most talented ever in that division, just in terms of the creativity and the striking. But he's got holes. Merab, like you said, the cardio is probably
It makes
unmatched.
up for all his holes. we gotta work on pausing.
Anyways, what was I even saying, bro? So pretty much, yeah.
Merab.
I don't know. I couldn't, definitively say he's the best in this division, like that weight class of all time. I don't know. I'm not super knowledgeable at this weight class, but I can kind of say that he's probably the best cardio ever in that division. And these guys can go. These guys can go.
I think he's the best cardio of anyone ever in the sport.
Ever in the entire UFC.
In the entire UFC ever.
Wow.
I think he has the best cardio ever. The dude didn't sit down once.
Right. In the 5th round.
He didn't even drink water, it looked like.
In the 5th round, Umar was trying to take him down, and he just stood there like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
Stands there, unfazed.
Get off
It was
my back.
amazing.
Get off my back. There's a fly on me or something. He didn't budge at all. And then he was taunting the crowd. Maybe we'll show a clip of that.
He was talking to Joe Rogan at one point in the 3rd round.
Yeah, he was talking to the
He's like,
announcer.
good fight, right? Good fight.
It's like, yeah, are you not entertained?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what he said, but something along those lines.
Dude's an animal, and I love watching him just grind people down. It's almost fun to watch him make people melt,
He likes to watch people grind him down.
Oh, God.
But yeah, it was a very impressive performance. Unanimous decision went Merab's way. Not surprised to see that out.
I really don't even know who Merab's going to fight next. I think Umar should probably fight... I'd like to see Sean O'Malley versus Peter. I think that'd be a fun fight because that was a rematch, right?
Right.
And I'd like to see that in a 5-round setting this time.
Okay.
I think I'd like to see Umar versus Davidson Figueiredo.
Ooh, I love Figueiredo.
I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think they're both good grapplers. I think that'd be a good, fun striking match. And I think that'd be a good contender match because I think Figgy's still in the top 5, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
And Umar still needs to fight more top 5 guys before going straight back to Merab.
He's number 5, Figueiredo.
Okay, so yeah, I think that'd be a great fight. I think Peter Yan versus Sean is good. Or Corey. Sean O'Malley versus Corey would be fun.
Sean O'Malley and Corey Sandhagen would be really fun.
Or whoever wins Hudo versus Song Yadong, I think would also be fun with Umar. Any of those options.
We're not forgiving Mario Bautista. We still got to hit out on him. Someone to knock him out.
All right. Well, moving on to our last fight, y'all. We got Money Moicano. Can afford to lose. He just did.
Yeah, I mean, this was interesting. I mean, do you want to explain the whole situation with...
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, as y'all might remember, Armand had a back injury.
My back!
And I think his weight cutting was also playing an effect into making it worse. So he unfortunately had to pull out of the fight. So Moicano, who was contractually, I believe, the backup fighter for this,
Correct.
He stopped. He decided, or he was not going to fight Beneil Dariush, and he got moved up to the main spot. Beneil unfortunately was not able to fight, but it was reported by him on Submission Radio that he was able to receive both show and win money. So he was taken care of by the UFC.
Easy money.
Yeah.
Easy money!
It's kind of sucked though. He had
Beneil,
to make championship weight. He had to go to 155, and he didn't even get to fight.
Right.
So that's kind of funny, but at least he got the win money too. So
I mean,
that's
he got
good.
everything but the bonus money that he could have gotten. I mean,
And I was telling Gabe before this podcast started, I thought Beneil versus Islam would have actually been a better backup match. I think Beneil has better takedown defense. I think Beneil is more well-rounded, I think for a last-minute fight, Beneil would have put a better show on.
I mean, I'm not disappointed at all. I was actually, I was kind of more hyped to see Money Moicano make it to a title fight. Obviously he had extremely slim chance of winning against Islam, but he's a fan favorite around all the MMA world, not even just the UFC, for his interviews, and he has a podcast that's very funny.
Oh yeah,
He
show me
talks
the
ab-
money.
Show
Check
me
it
the
out.
money. He talks about finance stuff, and he jokes around, has a good time. I believe Gilbert Burns is part of the show too. It's a great duo to watch in a podcast setting, just like us.
Yeah,
But anyways,
almost as good as us.
almost. They're close. They're close. You got to settle it with a fight on the octagon. On the mat, whatever.
I'll pass.
They'll go viral though. Hey,
Yeah.
hit us
Hit
up.
us up,
Hit us up,
Gilbert,
Moicano.
Mr. Burns.
Moicano. Hey, no, you don't want to turn down making money. Come on, let's make this happen. Yeah, pretty much Islam easily took down Moicano in the first round, submitted him with 4 minutes into the fight. It wasn't surprising.
Darce choke, I believe, right?
A Darce choke, I think you're correct. And
Yeah.
he has an interesting way of doing his Darce choke. Instead of using his wrist,
Forearm and wrist.
he goes to the middle of his forearm.
Yeah,
That's just his strength.
yeah.
Submission style.
It's that
And-
Dagestani grip.
Right.
Pause. Pause.
Grip.
Damn it.
But yeah, I mean, like you're saying, it's like a strong grappling style that definitely reflects the the culture of the
Yeah.
Dagestani crew over there, trained by Khabib as their head trainer, and they're just impressive, man. I mean, Islam stays at the number 1 pound for pound easily.
Well, so Gabe, as we wrap this up, I wanted to ask you, number one, who do you think these guys should fight next? And number
Okay.
two, is Islam, now that he's beaten Khabib's record of 3, and now he's at his 4th defense, and I believe he's only 1 win away from Anderson Silva's all-time record.
Wow.
So if Islam wins one more, the way I'm saying this, he's going to tie Anderson Silva for the most win streaks, for having
Oh
the
my
longest
God.
win streak in the UFC history.
Right.
And if he wins 2 in a row,
Mhm.
he'll have the longest ever. So I think we're already talking about this guy in historical terms.
We're already talking about
Do you
him
think
in GOAT
he's
status.
Good
I mean,
as Khabib, or do you think he's better? What is your
I
opinion
personally, I got into the UFC towards the latter end of Khabib's UFC career, and he was super impressive to me. I love the style of the guy. He kind of revolutionized the way people look at wrestling because he was a star that wasn't flashy. He got the job done. He didn't care who he fought. He takes anybody offered to him in the contract. Islam's the same way. Not scared of anybody. I think Islam is. I mean, obviously he's a much better striker than Khabib.
Yep.
I think that's not even a debate.
on that?
The wrestling, maybe it's slightly worse than Khabib. Maybe. It's almost as good, if not as good.
It's
I
different.
think he's better than Khabib. Maybe that's a hot take. Maybe I'm, because I'm newer to the UFC than some, people who were die-hard Khabib fans. Maybe that's like a hot take, but I think he's better, man.
So I'm on the boat of right now, just resume wise, the people they fought, I think they're equal. Because
Equal.
Khabib did have to fight tougher competition, in my opinion. He had to fight Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, and then Conor McGregor.
Right.
At the time, people like to joke about it, but Conor was the man.
He was.
And-
Two-division champ.
And Khabib versus Conor was actually the fight that got me into the UFC. I watched that live. And
Yeah,
I
that was
just,
one of the first ones I watched.
yeah,
too.
and I was just so blown away by that whole spectacle. And then when Khabib jumped down, I was a fan for life. When he
I
jumped
think-
out of the cage.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely I think the first pay-per-view I ever
Yeah.
watched.
Same. No, that was the first pay-per-view I've ever watched. And I remember distinctly, I was in my dorm room in college watching that. It was one of those fights. But going back to Islam, he had Volk, he has Moicano. He has Volk twice, he has Moicano, and he has Poirier. And then Khabib has Conor, Justin, and Poirier. So I don't know. I think it's equal in my eyes right now.
Right.
If Islam gets one more, I think he's going to be better than Khabib. And
He has
he's
the
the
most-
greatest lightweight of all time.
The most title defenses at lightweight ever, right? With 4.
Yes, he does. He does. So I think with one more, it's solidified. Right now, it's still debatable because Khabib
Wow.
is undefeated and he's never lost a round. Islam has lost some rounds and he has lost a fight. But I think if he wins one more, I think he's the best. I mean, he has 5 at that point.
Yeah.
And if he wins one more after that, you got to start talking about this guy. Is he the greatest of all time?
Right. I mean, and that's the scary part is he doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime
At
soon.
all.
It's going to be like a LeBron type of thing where it's you know what, I'm just going to retire when I feel ready. It's
Yeah.
I'm still going to be putting up 25 points a game and I'm just going to be I'm done.
Exactly. I mean, and going back to my first question, I think really quickly before I pass it back on to you, Renato Moicano, I think he should just go back to fighting Beneil. I mean, he got tapped out in 1 round. He's totally fine.
Yeah.
I think he can come back in a month or 2 against Beneil. In terms of Islam, I think the next fight, I think it would be cool to make one more lightweight defense just to have that solid 5.
And then what?
And then I think he should go up to welterweight.
I think so too. That's
He
what I was
should
about
fight
to say.
Shavkat Rakhmonov,
Ooh,
Belal,
oh
one
my
of those
God,
guys.
that would be
And that would be a
prime
super
time
fight.
TV right there.
If he wins that, if he wins double champ there, and then defends those belts, I mean, he could.
Go
He's
up.
the GOAT.
Go up to 185 after that. Why not?
He could fight. Honestly, if he fought Izzy, or like,
I mean, what is Izzy gonna do?
like Hamzat though.
But
Whoa!
he's
Can y'all
just-
imagine Islam
but
versus Hamzat?
He's just got the height disadvantage.
Yeah.
But he's got the strength. He's a little.
He's
stout,
190
stout
probably.
Russian boy.
Yeah, he's like 190 probably walk around.
Yeah, I think
Islam.
that's what I've heard.
Yeah,
It's rumored that.
195. So
He actually, like, in the post-fight conference, he was asked the question, you know, you're number 1 pound for pound, but do you feel like you need to be pushing for GOAT status? And, you know, he's the type of guy, he doesn't really care. But he said, I'll take whatever fight's offered to me. And they asked him, do you think you should try and follow a similar route to Alex Pereira and go up a weight class, potentially go up 2 weight classes because Alex is considered going to heavyweight?
yeah,
I don't know how serious he's taking that consideration of going up to 265. That's a big jump for him. He's another skinny, wiry guy like Kevin Holland that we mentioned.
he's a big 205er though, which is
He
crazy.
is a big 205.
He towers over Jan Blachowicz.
And he looks like he can put on some more mass.
Yeah.
It would take him some time. I don't think it would take as much time as it took John Jones to get up to that weight. But I think it's possible for Alex to go up to heavyweight. But anyways, the question asked by the reporter, do you think you could do something similar? He said, oh, I could for sure do that. And, you know, if you're offering me the fight, if it's in the contract and you compensate me well, I could easily do that and I feel confident.
I mean, let's put it this way: if he wins welterweight, and then like Sean Strickland is the middleweight champ, I mean, Islam versus Sean, you know.
That would be good.
Before we wrap it up, Nick, do you have any final comments about the UFC? No, you like the fights?
The fight, you know, this weekend was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I wish I could have seen my Persian king, Benil Dariush.
Yeah,
Assyria, but, you know, close enough.
Close enough, you know. I want to feel represented,
Yeah.
and you know, I would have loved to have seen him fight,
Right.
but you know, I'm glad he got some easy money and he wasn't, you know, put down like an old dog.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there's one last thing I wanted to say. Dana White in the post-fight conference, I keep saying post-game, but in the post-conference of the UFC 311 card, people were asking on an update with the way that they're going to be doing the rankings of
Oh
fighters.
yeah,
And supposedly they're working on a system that uses
AI. Hey, that's right.
to determine the rankings. I'm very excited to see what that's going to look like.
Yeah,
Hopefully they give us a clear explanation of how, you know, what goes into the AI determining the rankings.
I think it's a great idea. So there's no biases. So there's an algorithm that determines it.
Right.
I think that's a much smarter and non-biased way to do it.
So I'm excited to hear about that. We'll keep you all updated with that news.
Yes, absolutely. Well, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. We got another segment after this coming up for y'all. It's our NBA trade rumors. Gabe, do you have any more conclusions on the MMA segment before we head
That's
out?
pretty much it, man.
All right. Well, guys, thanks you guys so much for listening. We'll see you guys really soon. Peace out until the NBA segment.
A two crazy guy from my village to here to see this event, and they are here, and today I will bring them to my hotel and they will see something.